So in a big way, a huge takeaway from the 80-19-1 framework, my 80-19-1 framework, is you're already doing this anyway, and by that I mean you're already emerging as an individual, and you're persisting to be, and that ultimately results in a complete whole painted picture of whatever that could mean. But that's what I'm saying, is that that's another reason why the framework is different, is that this is a way, it's baked into the framework that you can be informed by the way that you want to handle things instead of what the circumstances or the senses dictate or seem to allow for. And but a key takeaway from that is what you want to do is, even what informs you of what isn't working, that's good data of where to adjust. That's where the 19% comes from, in persisting and continuing to show up. This continuing to show up part mindfully is the part where, I mean, people would miss it, and then when they hear the framework, they'd say, well, it's only a small part of it, I can skim over that. But then you're hurting yourself with odds 20-1, 20-80, really. In any case, it's not a huge jump, and it's not some big reach or some huge ask to make the assumption of the fundamental base reality, assuming that you're here and that you exist, and that there is a phenomenon of reality occurring that at least seems to persist, and ultimately we can get a subjective grasp of a totality in a comprehensively objective universe. I think I got those two backwards. I tend to. But what I'm saying is, it's not something that you necessarily have to sink your teeth into. Not with the framework. If you get the framework, you get it all. You understand it all. That's the whole point. That's why I designed it this way. It's just tended to follow this path of refinement, and I wasn't anticipating that. But that's what I'm saying. I didn't allow my senses to inform me that. I allowed that to emerge as a part of me, accepting that as a natural consequence, but not a reality of a sequence of events, if that makes sense. And it's not identity-based either. I'm afraid I may have made that mention before in my videos, and I'm coming further along in my research, and I'm coming into contact with other collaborators in the internet space. But for this, though, one thing that you would want to know and understand about the 80-19-1 framework is that it's not some big ask to allow for this assumption. The physicalist quantum universe theories of consciousness and reality can't explain basic non-conceptualized but very idealized physical reality and phenomenon. It can't explain the emergence of, say, the taste of chocolate, or why mint smells like mint and it doesn't taste like or doesn't smell like someone else. So it can't account for very subjective experiences in a very objectively subjective universe, if that makes any sense, even though it sounds like a double positive or double negative. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, you got to not take this for granted, that how powerful this framework is that it's rooted in the reality of presuming that you're here and that you're wanting to be a certain kind of individual. There's a whole science of this in economics. It's called praxeology, or the study of human action. I'm going over my time here. No, I'm not. I'm at 4.5 minutes. But it's something fascinating that you may want to look into, and it's about purposeful human action, that people tend to act in ways to satisfy their desires. And I want to say I almost dropped an article. It's got the wrong title. It's got that title, and it's more about the article's more about 8019.1's benefits and who it's for. So it's a good Substack article. So speaking of which, while we're on that note, I'm on Substack, pun intended. I'm on Substack. I'm on Mastodon, which is the Fediverse, which is awesome. You got to get into the Fediverse if you've never heard of it before. And I'm also on Blue Sky, which is on the AT protocol, which is a decentralized protocol, which means that it's not censored and it doesn't have ads and it doesn't have algorithms. So you get to know people better. So if you really want to look into some cool stuff and think about stuff and like interact, those different ways that you can get with me. But I just dropped an article actually where I mentioned praxeology in the title. I didn't mean to, but the point is that that's where we're at, though, is that praxeology is not Adam Smith economics. This is not Keynesian economics. This is von Mises economics, which is Austrian school. This is Austrian school economics, which is praxeology. And it's not saying, okay, well, people tend to act this way. It's saying people exist and they tend to take action, basically. So it's a subtle difference, it sounds like, but it makes an enormous world of difference when you're starting to get into human behavior in terms of economics and why and how to make it make sense that certain things have certain values and other things don't. So basic economic values can be understood and principles can be understood in more of an a priori sense, which is the subjective experience, which is what I'm talking about, is that you can validate it for yourself. This is a behavioral lesson and not a actual lesson. But if you can make this difference in your mind about the 8019.1 framework, that it's assuming that you exist, it's placing you in the forefront, or actually existence in the forefront, and assuming, hey, all of this is possible, that you can think whatever you want and you can feel however you want, and a lot of different crazy stuff happens out here sometimes. So given those circumstances and the fact that they persist, like, we can translate the cycle of creation, death, rebirth, basically in the same type of style context, but we're not trying to get lost in the sauce on that. What I'm trying to say is it's in terms of action, yes, just like I said in a very recent video, but it's more about the being. So you're being the person to take the actions. So that's another very subtle difference. And it's not about being the identity, but embodying the personhood, embodying being the person, just like I talk about it in the framework. It's very straightforward. If you take it for what it says and you use it, you don't apply it, you're already doing it. But if you mindfully apply it, you'll see a difference. You'll see how things can take shape and how you can use things to your advantage, but not for your selfish advantage, basically. That's another important part, is that I can't teach people how to clean up their junk and their baggage, but I can tell you this is the way to do the remarkable thing. This is the way to take part in the remarkable story. Even if you want to play a bit part, we have room for you in 8019.1. I talk about it in other videos. Thank you.